Now, why is exercise one all by itself? Number one, and you see it's in all caps, so I am shouting, is exercise stimulates the formation of new brain cells. So like, that's the mantra, is exercise, exercise, exercise. That's what actually causes new cells to form in the hippocampus. And so that starts that cycle that goes from the pluripotent to the neurons. It starts that cycle. So the more you exercise, the more you move around. Now I'm not saying, of course, go out and start running 5 miles a day. You want to take your time doing it. If you've formally worked out, start with walking. And I like walking outdoors because it takes your mind to other things, to growing things and living things, as opposed to getting on a treadmill and watching TV, just to pass the time. I think it really helps to engage your mind. Also, cardio and weight training, they both can be really important. The cardio is important because I think that really helps stimulate the growth of more cells. The weight training is this force, and that actually causes you to expend more oxygen. And it's that anaerobic type of activity that also can help your formation of new cells. Okay, mental exercise. This is one of my favorite parts as well. It's not just working Sudoku puzzles and crossword puzzles. In fact, I have to say, whenever I read these lists of things to do for chemo brain, work a crossword puzzle, make some lists, get your family members to help. I actually get angry when I read that. I have to go back to meditation. Because it's trivializing the problem, and it doesn't really help. In order to rewire the brain, studies show that repetition is necessary. So don't just work a Sudoku one day, crossword the next, play video games. What you want to do is pick a few things and do them over and over again until you're sort of bored with it, let's say for a couple of weeks, then go on to something else. So what you want to do is the repetition that causes that structure to form. Think about how your muscles, those, if you've ever run track or you worked out and you see that muscle forming, the muscle's responding to that continued stress. It changes shape. And that's what happens in the brain. Also, television is not necessarily very good for you because with the way that it's done today, these images are flashing so quickly, it's hard to focus on one thing. So I strongly recommend reducing electronic media unless it's one of the games that causes you to repeat itself, or if it's one of these really great movies where you're into the plot, you're analyzing things, you're actively thinking. But most of us are just in some sort of mindless state when we're watching television. It's fairly passive, but it actually eats up your energy in the brain.
That's right.
So, I also think it's important. Many of us are still going to doctor's appointments. And I've found that there's all this dead time, whether it's waiting at a stoplight, waiting in an office, waiting in line, is instead of just letting your mind wander, think about something deliberately. Obviously, if you're waiting at a stoplight, you don't want your mind to wander. You want to focus on what you're doing. But if you're in a waiting room or you're standing in line, think about where you want to direct your mind at that point. Do you want to notice something about a person that's in front of you? Do you want to notice something about your environment? Because it's one of those things where you begin to, the more you control your mind, the more you can control it, controlling those thoughts. And then this one I always have to work on is getting enough sleep. The brain actually regenerates a lot of itself and restores a lot of function during sleep. So that's very important.